Hi ladies and gentlemen, today is the 6th of September 2020. I'm Roy Potter, and I received a request to give some information on the safe areas that were mentioned in Utah around Richfield, to explain a little bit why some of the elites might be traveling there and why maybe you should too. And I was also asked to give some information on all of this coming out about the COVID-19 and the proof that it was being planned and set up many years ago. No later, we see evidence now showing up in 2017 where they're talking about the COVID-19 kits and apparatus and all of that. So that's what this video is about, and hopefully you'll find it informative, and then take it and spread it around and do your own research on it as well, okay? I might hasten to add that we wouldn't have this information on COVID-19 unless Monograph had put it up on his channel, and then it went out from there. Michael, who goes by @Jonah of Nineveh on Twitter, did a great job on disseminating it, distributing it on his Twitter channel and in other places. And I do want to say that apparently Monograph received some of this information from another person, and I'm not real clear on who that was, but I just want to thank everybody that keeps digging and finding out what's happening here. We need to get loud. We need to shove this in Trump's face and in our governor's faces, because they know about this, and they're doing it, of course, because they're being directed by some type of a power, and it's about destroying mankind for the earth, for Gaia, and Agenda 21, Agenda 30, you know, the climate change is being explained to these people, the governors and all these other folks who are supporting this, that if they don't take this action, the earth is going to die and everything's going to be destroyed, when in fact it is the elites who are destroying everything. They're the ones that are guiding this thing to happen, but they've convinced these governors, if it isn't the evil power that I've talked about before, and I don't want to go there today on that, but at least that they are responsible for making sure that this reset occurs so that they can save the earth. It's baloney, but that's what they're saying. There are other ways to handle this. For instance, as you all know, we have all alternative forms of energy. We don't have to be using oil, for instance, and other things. The technology has come a long way, but they just don't want the regular people to share in that. And looking at some of the people that walk around in their masks and the crazy things that Antifa and BLM do, and the way people are desecrating their bodies and their spirits, it's like I've said before, you know, we're asking for it. But hopefully enough of the good people will wake up and be able to take some kind of action to make it through this. So let me go forward with the explanation without any further ado. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's give you a little map study here of Utah and why this is so important. That's Utah there. It might be hard to see because of the way I'm having to do this. I'm having to use a computer screen. I don't have everything with me where I could give a better presentation, but this should at least give you an idea. Now, Utah was identified as a safe haven type place as early as the mid-1800s, and it wasn't just the Mormons that knew about that. There were people like Jim Bridger and others that were aware of this area. The secret societies even mentioned it. Now, when the government did their evaluation of safe places in the United States, they identified Utah as one of those, and I'm going to show you the specific areas that I've been talking about. And also, Joel Skousen in his book Strategic Relocation gives a good example. Now, there are a lot of safe places in the country, but this is accessible. That's one of the main things about it. Now, that's a disadvantage too, but I'll show you why we can negate the problem there with people coming that you don't want. But Utah is the crossroads of the West. The I-80 goes right through this area that I'm going to tell you about here. 70 goes over. Did I say I-80? I meant I-70. Goes over to Denver, Colorado. I-80 here goes up to Cheyenne and then crosses over into Reno. I-15, which traverses the state north and south, this goes on down to Las Vegas, LA. This goes on up to Idaho Falls area, and 84 over here goes up towards Boise. But there's a lot of traffic that goes through here. The thing is that while it's accessible, and by plane. And of course, you have Salt Lake Airport here, and you also have this airport that they've just built down here in Richfield. But I'm gonna point that out some situations with that for you here in just a minute. Despite the fact that it's accessible, almost the entire state can be cut off fairly easily, but especially the center portion that I'm going to tell you about. Now, I did see a post on Twitter from a guy who said that this isn't the most safe place in the world. And I may have overstated to say that it was the most safe or the safest place. But as far as accessibility, and in the United States in particular, it's one of the best, if not the best, here. Now, he mentioned New Zealand and mentioned a book by a guy by the name of Chan, who said that New Zealand, of course, was the best place to be in the entire world. Well, yeah, if you can get there, number one, but I'll be honest, even if I could get there, I wouldn't go there for a lot of reasons. We've been watching what that government's like down there, but more than that, there's some other difficulties with New Zealand, at least as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, here's Utah, and I'm going to go over to the next map here where I show the area that I'm talking about in red. There's the area that I'm talking about, and we're going to look at that real close here, okay? It's not going to cooperate. There we go. Okay. So this is it without the red around it. This is a close-up, and this is the area again that I'm talking about. It basically goes right down here. You notice it avoids the I-15 corridor, which could get a lot of traffic, but these choke points, both on I-70 on either side, and accessing this area along 89 here, these are choke points as well, and you can keep people from coming in there, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And there's the red area again, so that you get a clear picture of where we're talking about. Now, I'm going to just discuss this a little bit so that you kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. Richfield is right there. I think you can see it on the map, and I'm sorry it's not real clear here. You can pull up a map of your own, and just remember, if you look at when you pull up a map of your own and you get I-15, just go west of that and look for Highway 89, and it goes like this. Okay, that's Highway 89. All right. Thistle's up here, right there. It's actually outside the area, but the safe place really does start just south of Thistle. But you follow 89 here, and you have mountain ranges on either side. Okay, you do have the I-70 corridor for access, but again, I was telling you about the choke points that you can keep people from coming through here. Then you come on down to Richfield, and you can see why the elites chose this, because it does have access by interstates and also the airport that they have there now. Then you come on down 89, and you can get access all through here, by the way. You don't have to stay on 89. You can go quite a ways over. Just don't go on that side of the mountain range that's here. You stay to the west side of the mountain range as best you can. But at any rate, so anywhere in this red outlined area is pretty safe. It's arable land by and large. It's protected by mountains on both sides, and as I've said, choke points are easy to shut off. You have timber, lots of water, game, and coal. Coal is the big thing. Coal is a big commodity that's taken out of these mountains here, and also off the Kaparowitz Plateau, if that was necessary. Right now, the Kaparowitz Plateau and the Grand Escalante Grand Staircase is national monument, and you can't go there. But of course, if the balloon blows up, access to that area will definitely give you some resources. So that's why this is very important. Again, probably along here, if I were to want to settle here, if I didn't think the world was going to blow up within the next 3 to 4 to 5 months, at least here in the United States, if I didn't think that, I'd probably want to settle somewhere where the elites have. And I'm going to show you some of the areas where they've built some of these underground deals on this map. And they'll not be exactly correct, but you'll get the idea. it would be nice to have access as long as the world is okay and there are no travel restrictions and all that. But once bad things happen, you don't want to be along these interstates, right, or access to them. 89's okay, but I'd say anywhere from, well, Manti is right here. This entire valley, basically from Fairview down to Manti, excellent area, maybe even a little south of Manti, just over, this is Gunnison here. Any of that's okay, even down this way on the south side of I-70, as I said, Richfield's there. You follow this down. Now, I don't know about the DUMS in this area. I'm not familiar with that. I do know that, and I'll show you this other thing in just a few minutes, Camp Williams, which is right where the NSA is in Bluffdale, Utah, is actually the sister facility. The mountains there to the west of Camp Williams are actually house the sister facility to Cheyenne Mountain, which is NORAD, of course. But I do know, because I've seen them myself, that in this area right here, right in here, there are subterranean living quarters. I've seen them myself, and I know that they're in this area, which is probably the best area, and that's why they located them there. And it's pretty easy to fly into a smaller airport down here. They do have a smaller airport, so they could fly their jets in here. Then they could drive down the road, which I doubt that they do. They'd probably take another small plane flight down into this area. And this I know is where there are quite a few of these subterranean homes. But there are other areas along there where they can build them. So that's basically the story. I would settle anywhere north of I-70 is fine, along I-80 up to about Fairview, and anywhere south from Richfield coming on down to Orderville or Carmel Junction, which is right about here. You could even probably get to Kanab. Kanab would probably be okay, but then you don't have quite the resources in Kanab and on east that you would have if you stay within this valley here that I've outlined. If I were to, as I was saying, if I were to choose a spot for myself, if I was going to do this, it would probably be along the western slope of this range here. You have this range here, which is the Wasatch, and you have this range, which is the Manti-La Salle. And I would probably be on the west side slope of that mountain range because of security reasons, still access to water, arable land, not too high up, but just a little higher up than the valley floor. And if I chose that place, like I said, it would either be just east of Manti over here and Ephraim, somewhere in there, or I would be down here, probably on the just to the east of Panguitch area right there. Those are the places I would choose for lots of reasons. But again, anywhere along this 89 corridor is good. Even close to I-70, because like I said, that can be shut off pretty easy if you decide you need to do that and you get some help from your neighbors and locals who I'm sure would be more than willing to shut off the outside world if things go totally crazy. So I wanted to show you that. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, that's just the map of Utah again. Go back up and talk about this situation with Camp Williams. I heard Dave Hodges talk about tunnel systems, and I'm not familiar with all of that. I have no doubt that there aren't some. I do know, as I've said, that Camp Williams, which is just south of Salt Lake City, it's really kind of on the border between what's called Bluffdale and Lehigh. Yeah, I hit the camera. I'm trying to see this. I might have to blow this up because I can't see it either. Unfortunately, I'm too far away. So let's see if I can get it bigger. There we are. Bring this down. So now you can see, here's that I-70 corridor again. Richfield's right there, so you can kind of get oriented as to where you are. 89, of course, from Thistle. You can see Thistle there on down to Richfield, and then heads on south. You are on when you're on 89, you do have to take 70 for a short distance to get back on 89 going south. But this gives you the idea. Of course, you can get over here to Fish Lake too and all that. But I was talking about Camp Williams, and if you look at this right here, this area right here, this is where the NSA headquarters is right there off of I-15. Camp Williams is also right next to it. That's a National Guard facility. And the entire mountain range over here, just north of Eagle Mountain and south of the Riverton that you see there, this area right here is all part of the Camp Williams training area, and that basically disguises the sister facility to Cheyenne Mountain, NORAD. So you have NORAD back over in Colorado, down by Colorado Springs, and this is its sister facility here. Not a lot of people know that, but I don't mind talking about it. That's why the NSA was built there, because they can go right into the NORAD facilities information and I'm sure that's exactly what they've done. And I have no doubt that there are tunnels linking the NSA there to that sister facility there of NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain, right there at Camp Williams in the mountains to the west there, right in this area. Okay. Why would the NSA be built here? Well, first of all, because the LDS Church, frankly, is very federal government friendly. They will bend over backwards for them, which they've done. There was a Utah representative that tried to shut off the water to the NSA, but that didn't get very far. Of course, the powers that be came down on him, and because he didn't want the NSA there, and I don't blame him. So the seat of the beast is here. It is here, but the salvation is here as well. And I know some people might not like my terminology there, but you've got both. But of course, the elites will have some type of communication between the NSA and the Cheyenne Mountain sister facility here and wherever they decide to go in Richfield. And I don't believe they're going to be in Richfield itself. They're going to be south along 89 there, where I showed you some of the subterraneans are. And again, I don't know about any DUMBs there. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the area is like. I hope that was instructive. Now I'm going to change subject matter, and we're going to go to the situation with the COVID. Okay. All right. I first saw this on Monograph's channel, not this particular one, actually the one I saw. Let me go to the one that he actually brought up first. This one here. This one here. Okay, let's expand that. Hopefully you can see that. This is the first thing that I saw on Monograph's channel. I couldn't remember the name of it, but it's the World Integrated Trade Solutions. And they're talking about, and you're free to, well, let me show you. I'll just blow it up some more, because this is very critical that you see what's happening here. They're talking about COVID-19 diagnostic tests, the instruments and apparatus, and look at the date. You see that date? 2018. Now, I think somebody gave this to Monograph, and then he was good enough to put it out on his channel. But whatever, Monograph is always, right on top of things, and he was on this. So you can see that as early as, and this thing was probably printed in 2017. This is by country in 2018, they're saying. But that means that the plans were, of course, in the works a lot longer before that. Probably many years. They've been shooting for this for a long time, but they were going to have these test kits out by 2018, which no doubt is, in fact, probably the case. So somebody's calling me on the phone. Let me see what's going on here. I should have turned this thing off. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry about that. I'll get that later. So this is the first thing that came out from Monograph, and whoever it was that sent it to him, I'm not sure who that was. I should give them credit, but I'm really not. I don't recall exactly who it is. But the point is that I think this was the first piece of information that was very important. And then we're going to go back this way, and we're going to look at this. Let me blow this up. Okay, so this was put out, tariffs on Argentina for COVID-19 test kits. This is still that same thing, the WITS data. Tariffs applied on imports of COVID-19 test kits from Argentina by country year 2018. You have some explaining to do, Trump. You have some explaining to do, governors, like Governor Pervert Herbert of Utah. Got some explaining to do here. This is baloney. This is BS, and you all know it. Now I want to go to this. This one here. This is from the World Bank. COVID-19 Strategic Preparedness and Response Program. Okay. Now, people could argue, I don't know what the date on this was, but that's immaterial for what I'm going to show you. They're saying that the expected project approval date is 2nd of April 2020. That was this year. Again, this thing, to have that information, this has been probably in the planning stages for years, okay? Certainly longer than the outbreak that began after the 201 project, whatever that was, that Gates had going in the fall. That was all part of the process, but you can see that the expected project approval date is 2nd of April 2020. What's important here, expected project closing date. Do you see that? Let me blow this up. I want you to see this because this is going to be important. Okay, you're going to have to put up with some noise here. I'm sorry. Okay. There it is right there. Expected project closing date, 31 March 2025. Expected program closing date, 31 March 2025. Keep that date in mind, 2025, okay? It's gonna all make sense here in a minute. Okay? Wrong way. Okay. Some of you may have already seen this. I suspect that you have. This is Deagle.com. It talks about projections for different things in the world. For instance, you can see currency there, right? Population, density, GDP, all these different things, military budget and all that. Okay, what I want you to see here are the projections. Let me go ahead and do this. By 2025, watch this. Population. Now, this is for the United States. They have one of these for every country in the world, okay? Population in 2025 will be 100 million. For the world, we'll just stick with this. 100 million. Well, now, wait a minute. We have approximately 350 million people in the United States right now. So this is saying that they're anticipating that the population will drop to 100 million. The forecast for 2025 will be 100 million. That kind of indicates there possibly a drop of 100 million, but regardless, that's pretty scary when you consider it. Even a drop of 100 million, if it doesn't mean that there are 100 million population, that's still a drop of 250 million. But a 100 million drop is bad enough. Okay, either way, they're talking about a population, depopulation program here, forecast. Very important to know that. So the world figures here, same thing. I'm not sure if this is saying that the world population will be reduced to 6.9 billion, or if they mean it'll drop by 6.9 billion. Either way, the point is it's going down, right? They're doing a culling operation here of one sort or another, and it's not due to just immigration, flow of people to different places, migrants or whatever. There's no way that you could get this many people, even if it's just 100 million. There's no way that they could get that many people immigrating other places. I think this is actually meaning that it is a drop in population down to 100 million. I think this is actually what that means. And I think this means actually a world population drop down to, or down beyond 6.9 billion. Either way, it shows that that's what they're really after here, and that's what this whole COVID thing is about, is preparing that. And of course, the justification that they've given to the governors and everybody is that if the global climate change isn't fixed, the global warming, our whole thing with Agenda 21 and 30, if we don't do that, then, it's going to be mass havoc in the world, which they're causing anyway. But the governors and these people, if they're not listening to the Antichrist, they're definitely listening to his arguments, which is that they have to get on board to save the earth. Never mind saving human beings, just save the earth. Right? Yeah. Let's take a look at this one here too. Okay, this is the lower table of that, and this is showing some of the distributions of these kits that were scheduled for 2018. You can see all the different countries that are there, okay? All right, just to give you another idea. Notice the date here. HS nomenclature used, HS, what's the date there? 2017. Distribution of COVID-19 kits. Well, I thought they didn't name this thing COVID-19 until 2019 or 2020. You getting the picture now? Okay, and this is just again showing the projections. Expected program closing 2025, which matches up to the drop in population, okay? And we started off with this one. I just want to review it again so you'll see it. Okay, 2018, distribution, 2018. Orders, manufacturing. Okay. All right. Well, I hope that information was helpful. Again, if you have the means to find a safe haven, I suggest you do it as quickly as you can. You can use any of this information any way you like. You're welcome to. As far as discussing it on your channels or whatever. I'll bring this back up. And spread the word. Frankly, I would like to get as many people in this area right here as we can possibly get. Get those elites nervous, Let them know that we're coming where they are, and they're going to have some big-time explanations to make. Okay? All right.